The Alabama Farmers Federation and the Alabama Farmers Cooperative proudly present Simply Southern with your hosts Jim Allen and Mary Johns.
Hello and thanks for joining us for Simply Southern. I'm Mary Johns.
And I'm Jim Allen. Farmers make up less than 2% of the population, but they feed 100%. On today's show, we'll go along as young farmers learn from the old pros in agriculture.
Our leaders come out of a group of folks like this, and we need to be developing more leaders.
With 7 locations, Jones Valley Teaching Farm is helping provide lessons about growing your own food to students in Alabama's most populated city.
And I think it's really neat to see students getting excited about being outdoors and about getting their hands dirty and figuring out what it means again to be in an outdoor setting.
But up first, we'll travel to Alabama's music capital, where the best of the best are celebrated in style.
What sustains us? Food? Family? Faith? Alabama farmers live those things every day. They conserve our resources, clothe our families, and fill our tables. They cultivate jobs for our communities and values for our future. Farmers grow it all right here in Alabama.
There's no such thing as downtime when you own a farm. This is your land. You tend it and try to get the most from it, no matter the weather or time of day. It's been that way for generations. And for generations, your local quality co-op store has been there for you, with a full range of agriculture supplies and services, from feed to fertilizer, seed to grain storage, and the right hardware for any application. You'll always find what you need, plus friendly, knowledgeable advice at your local quality co-op store. There's one near you.
Fans of a good country song probably have a few tunes in their playlist by Alabama the Band. But Alabama the State has produced enough top musicians to fill just about any music fan's collection. Whether it's Hank Williams, Lionel Richie, or Percy Sledge, you can see all of Bama's top tunesmiths under one roof at the Alabama Music Hall of Fame. Alabama's Shoals region has a musical legacy that draws artists and aficionados alike to the northwest corner of the state. The legendary performers who have passed through local landmark studios like Muscle Shoals Sound and Fame have come from every genre and corner of the map. Of course, a number of these greats came from right here in the heart of Dixie, and where better to celebrate their contribution than Alabama's music capital.
The Alabama Music Hall of Fame has been open since 1990. Part of that was actually by a statewide referendum, which is pretty unusual. People decided that they wanted a museum to sort of encompass and preserve and tell the stories of all of Alabama's music achievers.
It's all genres of music, from rock and roll to country to rap, and it's all people from the state of Alabama that have contributed in some sort of way to the music scene.
Folks, it doesn't matter what station you park your radio on. This place has plenty to catch both your ears and eyes. The number of musical giants Alabama has produced is more than enough to, quite literally, fill a room.
It's great to have the inductee gallery right there because they can already put a face to what's here. So they immediately recognize the classics, but then they start noticing other people. Lionel Richie, a lot of people know about Jerry Wexler. The group Alabama.
And speaking of the group Alabama, fellas, you seem to have misplaced a bus.
Our biggest exhibit is the tour bus that the group Alabama used in the late 70s. And you can actually walk through that bus. They look at the bus and the way it was set up for the late 70s and they wonder, I wonder what a bus looks like now.
Once you step off the bus, there's an incredible array of musical memorabilia from the performers, producers, and songwriters who have defined our state's rich musical history.
We have all kinds of stuff in the display cases, instruments and uniforms, but then we have a few one-of-a-kind items in here. And one of them is Sam Phillips' very first recording equipment at Sun Records. It's the first stuff that Elvis recorded on. Howlin' Wolf recorded on it. B.B. King recorded on it.
And speaking of recording, you can take a turn behind the mic and impress your friends in an actual operational recording studio.
We actually have a recording studio that's functionally set up as a karaoke booth. And so we have a very big list of songs that people can come in and record. Of course, that's fun for everybody. You know, some people come in and they're really great.
There's a tear in my beer 'cause I'm crying for you, dear. And some are not so great, but it's a fun way to learn about the incredible talent that has called our state home. Currently, 78 artists have been inducted into the Alabama Hall of Fame, which drew around 16,000 visitors this past year alone. Preparations are underway to bring a few more of Alabama's finest into the fold in 2020. While I doubt you'll ever find Jim Allen's portrait hanging in the gallery, there's a good chance you'll catch this music fan just hanging around.
I like all genres of music, and it's all interesting to me. I like the authentic stuff, costumes and the instruments they actually used and that. It looks like it's very generous for people to donate or loan, the original artifacts, like Hank Jr.'s original outfit.
It's all incredible. It takes you back to, when music was just becoming alive in the 70s in the Shoals area. They said there was something magical about coming here to record, and we try to take advantage of that here at the Music Hall of Fame.
The Alabama Music Hall of Fame has plenty to see and hear, with several live performances offered throughout the year. You can find it all on their website, alamhof.org.
And now, when can visitors expect another performance from you, Jim?
For the poor souls who were subject to my yodeling that day, all future concerts will be confined to the shower.
Well, you did have nice glasses on for the performance.
Thank you, Mary.
When Simply Southern continues, we visit Jones Valley Teaching Farm in Birmingham, where they help teachers educate students with lessons based around growing food.
Soybean is a very versatile product. We make crayons out of it.
A lot of the combines you see rolling through the fields have a lot of plastic side panels that are made from a soy product.
The soybeans that we grow on our farm mostly goes into chicken feed.
Soybean production in Alabama employs over 10,000 people.
We grow some of the best soybeans in the world.
We go the extra mile to make sure when our name is stamped on it, we know it's the best product we can produce.
You could see it before anyone else. Your future, your own place, independence. It's not perfect, but you love it. A place to grow, to be yourself.
All for a better life.
Dream big. Alpha Insurance.
All for a better life.
Protect your dream with Alpha's new business owner policies.
A farmer has to live on faith. We do all we can do, but we can only control so much.
Alabama is the second largest poultry growing state in the nation, so we're trying our best to grow all the corn we can for that.
What we produce not only feeds and clothes all of the United States, but about half of what we make goes on to the world market.
We've been able to improve yields, have some things that can help us produce a better crop. I'm proud of the product we make. I'm proud that I can say I'm an Alabama farmer.
Birmingham is the largest city in Alabama and in the top 50 in the nation for population, if you include all the people living in surrounding cities and suburbs. With all that sprawling urbanization, it's probably the last place you'd expect to find a fully functioning farm. But for over a decade, Jones Valley Teaching Farm has flourished in downtown, and its mission is to educate students through growing their own food.
Bounded by interstate construction, U.S. highways, apartments, and businesses, the 3-acre downtown campus for Jones Valley Teaching Farm is an oasis in Alabama's most populated city. Founded in 2002, Jones Valley Teaching Farm started a new project in 2012, building 6 other teaching farms directly on school campuses.
We went in 2012 from having 1 teaching farm to having 7 by 2015, which is a big expansion. So our downtown farm is still sort of our hub. As far as we know, that's the only program of its sort, pre-K through 12th grade in the entire country. Something that we're pretty excited about.
The largest of the school gardens is at Woodlawn High School. The school's greenhouse is where all the plants for the 7 Jones Valley teaching farms get their start. The fields for row crops and gardens are surrounded by fruit trees. And there's a pavilion and pond, perfect places for classroom lessons.
There's a lot more like natural learning that can take place out here, so it's a lot less forced. Just to see them, they get a lot more excited, I think, for sure out here than they do in the classroom. And being outside, period, changes kind of most people's outlook when they get out here. Once they get over the fact that, they may get a little dirty or, we're outside and it may be a little hot or maybe a little cold or may rain a little bit. But once you get them past that, then it becomes pretty natural out here and it's a lot of fun.
Being at a high school means Woodlawn's farm is also used for a co-op internship through the school's Career Tech program. For the past 3 years, 8 juniors and seniors commit to working 15 hours a week at the farm, even during the summer.
They're in school until about 2 p.m. They come out to the farm and they begin working on the farm. We have a chalkboard where their work list and action item list for that day is, and they start kind of working through it. So we're talking about farm production, crop planning. So they're learning a lot about farming, but they're also learning about what it means to kind of have a job and keep a job and show up on time, stuff that would have been helpful for me when I was 16, 17 years old.
Along with learning farming and other job skills, students learn how sweet it is to taste the fruits of their labor.
It's just like whenever we grow something, it's not like, you're gonna grow it and you're not gonna taste it. You gotta taste it. So it's just like growing it and tasting it fresh out of the ground, it was like, whoa, I grew it. Like, whoa, it tastes this good? Like, whoa, things really taste like this. So it's very good. Like, I love everything about this job.
You discover how much time goes into getting a carrot or making like a handful of kale. How much work goes into making that process happen, and they get to be a part of that. So then when you say, hey, do you want to try this? They're a lot more open to trying it because they put the work into it and they want to see, was it worth it or not?
And for the people behind Jones Valley Teaching Farm, making learning come alive for students does make it all worth it.
I think it's really neat to see in a city environment, students getting excited about being outdoors and about getting their hands dirty and figuring out what it means, again, to be in an outdoor setting. So that's something that we don't often see in this day and age. We get so focused, myself included, on our phones and our screens and our TVs and the technology. It's very nice and very relaxing and soothing and sort of helpful from a socio-emotional and psychological level to just be outdoors.
Across its 7 locations, Jones Valley Teaching Farm produces over 20,000 pounds of food annually. That food is sold through student-run markets on the school campuses and at Pepper Place Market in Birmingham. To find out more about Jones Valley, go online to jvtf.org. When Simply Southern continues, young farmers from across the state come together for entertainment, education, and enlightenment about agriculture.
One out of 4 Alabama residents have benefited from the Alabama Cooperative Extension System. Last year, Master Gardener Managed Gardens donated $150,000 worth of fruits and vegetables to food banks, and over 25,000 young people developed math, science, technology, and engineering skills through 4-H. Now what we want to know is, how can we help you?
The versatile peanut. Meat of the earth. Friend of the soil. Tasty, nutritious, packed with protein. And Alabama peanut farmers nourish some very special things. Families, communities, and Alabama's economy. Peanuts. Good for you, good for Alabama.
Now, an Alabama tourism spotlight from Sweet Home, Alabama. Burroughs Museum, atop beautiful Montesano Mountain in Huntsville, transports visitors back in time. The eccentric William Burroughs Mansion features a 2-story center octagon and 4 one-story wings, forming an X. The mansion's interior showcases a spiral staircase, opulent parlors, and stunning architectural accent. Surrounding the mansion, a park provides visitors a glimpse of life in the 1900s to 1950s. Open year-round, Burroughs on the Mountain hosts individual and group tours, special events, and educational demonstrations. For your next adventure, go online to alabama.travel.
We've been raising fish for 33 years. Our farm and the catfish farms in Hale County, in this area, have had a huge impact on the labor, offering jobs. It's been a big economic boom for West Alabama. Our family is fully invested in U.S. farm-raised catfish.
Farming can be a lonely job. Oftentimes, growers can be alone on a tractor or with their livestock for hours on end and for days at a time.
That's one reason why organizations like the Alabama Farmers Federation are important. Recently, young farmers from across the state met in Montgomery for a time of fellowship with each other and to learn lessons from some of the old pros on farm tours in the area.
Of the 400 people in this room, most have been farming all or most of their life. What may be even more surprising is that they're all between 17 and 35 years old. But despite their years of experience, they all know there's always more to learn about agriculture.
We've got 4 farm tours planned tomorrow. Each tours go into 3 different farms. So the hope is that the farmers that are going on these tours can see things at these different farms and find some things that they can take home and apply to their operation to make it more efficient or expand it or just kind of help pass it on to the future generation.
There's always something or somebody doing something a little different out there, and if we can take a little bit of that back home and tweak and change what we do to benefit us, then it was worthwhile.
Like many of the young farmers in this group, Cameron and Christin Smith have off-farm jobs. They say experiences like these farm tours help them with that part of their lives as well.
Being in the ag retail business like I am, I get to see different parts of the industry, different crops, different segments, and being able to see something like timber that I don't see necessarily on a daily basis, or the smaller farm that we visited, you know, whether it be produce or vegetable farming, to be able to see that gives me an opportunity to see where I could better try to fit myself if the opportunity arises to be in that sort of niche market. It also gives my wife an opportunity because she teaches ag at a school, and that gives her the opportunity to maybe take her kids or show her kids, give them ideas, you know, things like that.
I enjoy it from a teaching basis just because when I do teach that particular curriculum, I can relate back to an on-farm experience that maybe I would have never had if I hadn't come on a tour like this.
While the tours are educational, the president of the Alabama Farmers Federation says the real value of this event is the conversations that take place between young people who might not otherwise meet.
There's full-time farmers, there's part-time farmers, there's agribusiness people, there's everybody in these buses. And it is so important to have that mix of folks on these buses and participating in this program because they're learning from each other. So it's a win-win for the whole group to get together and ride around and see farms, attend seminars, have meals together and get to know each other's family. There's just no way to tell you what it can mean and what it does mean to this state.
Parnell says he remembers being on these buses about 30 years ago, and it helped him reach the position he holds now. He says it's important to invest in the next generation of agriculturalists.
It's all about the future. I mean, if we just sat and did nothing, someday we'd run out of people that had the ability to lead our organization and represent agriculture in various events around the state and government, all the things that we each and every one do today, our leaders come out of a group of folks like this, and we need to be developing more leaders, so that's so exciting for us.
I think agriculture is one of those unique aspects where it's all about those relationships that you build, and I think having that chance to build those relationships at still kind of a young age and be able to grow into those relationships can only help your business in agriculture as you go on.
It's an opportunity that nothing else is really offering our generation and what we're doing in agriculture as a whole. I can't wait to see what the future holds and how we continue to push forward and be successful.
For Simply Southern, I'm Kevin Worthington.
What one thing can you say about your local quality co-op store? You can trust us. You get what you need for your farm, for your lawn and garden, and the safest products for your pets. We're locally owned and operated, and you can trust that we care about our community and the people in it. So if you're a raised bed gardener, a rose gardener, or if you farm hundreds of acres, the Quality Co-op Store has exactly what you need to get the job done. All this plus friendly, knowledgeable advice. Your Quality Co-op Store. There's one near you.
What we eat, what we wear. It all starts somewhere. And if it's good, it usually starts with a farmer. And that somewhere is right here in Alabama. In a field, in a barn, on a tractor. Right now, there's a farmer starting something good for all of us. And it all starts right here in Alabama.
For more Simply Southern, be sure to follow us on social media. And while you're online, visit our website, simplysouthern.tv.net. Simply Southern will continue in a moment.
We believe a plant should be more than a plant. This one is. It's all you need for your garden to succeed because it's a Bonnie plant. It represents hundreds of varieties of Bonnie's quality veggies and herbs. But more, it's from generations of Bonnie people who are passionate about sharing their love of gardening with you. Look for this little Bonnie plant and a whole family of plants like it in your garden center. Bonnie plants, so you'll know how to grow.
Hey folks, Sidney Phelps here with Bonnie Plants. Today I want to talk about ways that you can use heirlooms in your garden and be successful. Now, heirloom is a trend right now that is huge in the culinary world. You see it all the time at restaurants, heirloom salads, heirloom tomatoes everywhere. And there's so much more to heirlooms than just tomatoes, even though that is probably one of the most primary things that people think about when they hear the words heirloom. So let's start off with tomatoes. Now, tomatoes that you're dealing with an heirloom, the first things first that we need to deal with is they are not a hybrid, they are not modified, so they are not disease resistant, they are not nematode resistant, they are not heat resistant or heat tolerant. So basically you're getting what you're getting when it comes to this. These are old style varieties that have been created and started in the processes of wherever they were founded at. Think about a Black Prince tomato. It was found in Russia and Siberia, so it really does well in cold temperatures. Now, of course, it's not frost-proof, but it performs well in the cooler seasons. It's gonna set fruit in cooler temperatures, whereas when it gets hot, it's gonna die out. It's not gonna produce. That's something that you've got to be prepared for whenever you're understanding you're putting these in your garden. If you're wondering why maybe you're not successful, you really have to do your research and understand what it is that you are putting into the ground. A lot of varieties, San Francisco Fog, is a regional variety that we carry on the West Coast in the San Francisco area. It does great in that kind of humidity, cool season temperatures, a lot of rain. It doesn't put out a lot of different things, but it's got a great flavor and people there love it. Now you're looking in the Southeast, those varieties are not going to do so well for us. We've got a lot of high heat, we've got a lot of humidity, which means a lot of disease possibilities. So that's why you don't see those varieties in Alabama and the Southeast in general. So you really have to think about what you're planting and where you're planting. Another thing with heirloom varieties is most of them are going to be indeterminate. That means they're going to need cages, they're going to need structure, they're going to need ways that you can grow and support them to be successful. So keep all of that in mind when you're dealing with heirlooms. A lot of heirloom tomatoes are going to be the purples, the pinks, the darks, and those are great, but make sure you know, as we've talked about before, those are going to have higher acidic levels. It's going to take a little bit longer to get ready. So just be knowledgeable about that. Now, in kind of the same family as a tomato, you have to look at Southwestern style culture, tomatillos. Now, tomatillos are becoming very popular when it comes to salsa, green chilies, all of these different things. Tomatillos grow extremely fast, and if you're in the Northeast, well, they're going to set their blooms before the bees are even around to pollinate. So you have to make sure you know when to plant them so that they can get pollinated. Another thing is, when you're buying tomatillos, you can't buy just one, and that's not a Pringles commercial. And once you pop, you can't stop. But when you're dealing with tomatillos, you need multiple to be able to cross-pollinate with one another. That's the way that they can produce, is transitioning all of that across. Now, looking into all these different varieties like Lacinato kale, or dinosaur kale as it's commonly known, it is going to get hit very hard by cabbage worms, cabbage loopers. They are going to really get into that, so make sure you keep your garden clean. That's one thing we always talk about whenever you're working with any type of heirloom. Keep your garden clean, keep it maintained, you've got mulch down. That will keep down any kind of pest from running around. If you're looking at cantaloupes in the warmer season, Hale's Best is a great variety that does great in the Southeast, but sometimes if you're in maybe a Midwestern or more Northeastern, it needs a lot of heat to generate that fruit. So black plastic absorbs heat, puts that energy out, keeps the plants warm, keeps them happy. These are all ways that you can research that, just like lemon cucumbers, as well as other heirlooms that we offer. If you want to find out more about heirlooms, go to our website, bonnieplants.com, or the app Homegrown with Bonnie Plants, and see what works best for you.
If you're having issues with your vegetables or herbs, ask Sidney about it via email at simplysouthern@alafarm.com. Now, if he answers it on the air, we'll send you a nice gift. And if you need a quick answer, bonnieplants.com is available 24/7.
Once again, our work here is done. Thanks for watching Simply Southern. If you're from South Alabama, you know about 7-layer cakes. Next week, we'll take you to a place where they bake more than 400 of them a day.
That is a whole lot of cake. Now, keeping with that food theme, they say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And on our next show, we'll show you where you can find Bama's best. I'm Mary Johns.
And I'm Jim Allen. We'll see you again next week.
Simply Southern is a production of the Alabama Farmers Cooperative and the Alabama Farmers Federation.